All right, we are now joined by Tennessee head coach Rick Barnes. Coach, if you could start with an opening statement.
Excited to be here. Just an incredible amount of respect for TJ and his program and what he's done in his time back at Iowa State. An extremely skilled offensive team. Defensively, there aren't many flaws there. That's why they've had the year they've had. They've had the program so sound fundamentally. They do so many good things. So we know that it's a tremendous challenge in front of us.
All right, we'll take questions for the coach. Front left.
Hey, Rick. Luke DeCock from Hoops HQ. I think you're the one coach who's not going to get asked about the Carolina opening for.
I'm from North Carolina.
There's a little history there, I think. But you have Clemson, Texas, Tennessee. These are all schools with really strong football traditions that you spent a good chunk of your career at. Is there a trick to being a basketball coach at thriving as a basketball coach at a so-called football school?
You can be successful anywhere if you've got a great AD that understands that the climate today is different than what it was years ago. The obvious problem today, there's some fan bases that think they still have an entitlement, and they think it's going to be the same way the game's changed totally because of the NIL. And like I know Hubert, he was the very first player I started recruiting as a head coach back at George Mason. I mean, incredible coach. I don't care where he would be. Everything that's good about the game, he is about it. But I just think today, when I talk, I've got coaches on my staff that are so ready to be head coaches, and I tell every one of them, the biggest thing you have to analyze is your athletic director, where they're coming from. Do they really understand where we are today in this basketball game? Because it's much different, and if they don't, I'm not sure that it's a good job.
Question, third row left.
Gabrielle Gozzi, Medill Reports. Coach, with Jacoby and Nate leading you guys in scoring, how have you seen their relationship grow throughout the season and the tournament now, and how has Jacoby's leadership helped Nate grow specifically?
Well, they're similar in the fact they both love the game of basketball. Just both of them are incredible, humble young men. They very unselfish. You can't meet either one of them without liking them. And on the court, the time that they spent together with the target being on their backs every night, I think they've learned how to handle that together. But they both have been terrific for us and certainly have made a major impact, not just on the court, but off the court, maybe in more ways than people can even imagine, and the locker room, because they have never, ever made it about them, ever. It's not about them. They want this team to be up front and foremost, and when you got two guys that think like that, it's easy for everybody else to fall in behind them.
Second row left.
Steve Lehman, News Channel 5 Nashville. Last year, this weekend, Rick, you said goodbye to Zakai Siegler. Great career, obviously, and there was questions of what came next at that position. Can you speak to what Jacoby's come in to not just answer that question, but really kind of leave his own legacy in one season for you?
He has done that. We knew that Jacoby was special, but we did not know how special until a couple weeks into summer practices, and he started showing us, I guess the best word I could use is a wow factor, some things that we didn't know that he could or would do. Defensively, he became a guy that once he learned our scheme, what we were trying to do, he embraced that. But offensively, days in practice where he'd get going, that he just showed us some things that we didn't know he had. But he's played more minutes than we thought. But he's became a guy kind of like Zakai. Sometimes I think a guy that's tired is better than some guys that are fresh. And so I kind of, in that conversation with him throughout the game, because the coaches are doing their job by telling me we need to get Jacoby out, get him out, I look at him and say, how you doing? If he gives me the thumbs up, I'd say he's good. You know, and we were there with Zakai like that. And Jacoby, like Zakai, high-level competitor, really wants to win, but both of them just unbelievable teammates, and that's why they're able to lead.
Okay, front row.
Dan Wolken, Yahoo Sports. Rick, to go back to what you said a minute ago about what makes a good job or athletic director who understands, obviously it costs a lot of money now to put a good team together like the one you have. Do you ever feel like you're fighting with football for resources, or as the price goes up, do you think that's going to be a issue in departments like yours that want to win at everything?
Well, no, I think football is the biggest asset that we have. And I've been, think about it, Texas, Tennessee, Clemson, assistant coach at Alabama, assistant coach at Ohio State. There is no doubt football is the engine that drives the train for all of us. And by what they do, it allows all of us to be able to do what we do. And I've always embraced that, because what I've learned in this business, my job is important to me. I promise you, Josh Heupel's job is important to him. But Karen Wickley, our softball coach, every sport matters. And we've got a situation now, certainly at Tennessee, with Danny White and his staff and Randy Boyd, Donde Plowman. They want to give us all a chance to compete at the highest level. And it goes back, again, talking about jobs. If the administration is not lined up with the athletic department, it's going to fail. It's going to fail somewhere along the line. I watched it fail at a couple of different places because of that. And you have to have an athletic director that knows all that. But anybody that thinks, I don't know how anybody could ever be jealous of football, because it means so much to us in terms of our fall visits. You come in of all the places I've been, Tennessee is the most electric place I've ever been, where there's a fan base. You just feel it the whole week during the fall. Everybody looks forward to it. And so I found out early that it is what it is. And like Josh, he's, to me, one of the best football coaches in the country. We spend time together, starting here in a couple weeks or so with the Orange Caravan, those type things. And we all have tough jobs. He's got a really tough one. He got a really tough one, as all football coaches at this level. I think with him going to a playoff, it makes those jobs even tougher. But it goes back. We've got an athletic director that really understands what we're in, what we're doing, and I know I don't want to let him down, and I know all the other coaches don't either, because he's got the hardest job, by the way. Danny White's got the hardest job in the athletic department, and but he's getting it done at a high level.
Okay, question back right.
Rick Butler, Rocky Top Insider. Rick, there's a handful of veteran coaches in the Sweet 16. Just what does it say about the importance of continually adapting in this landscape, and how have you approached that over the years?
Well, obviously I know most of them, certainly through the years, and it's guys that they coach and play basketball the way they think it should be played, and they've stuck with it. I think we've all changed some way through the years, but there's core values, principles that we live by in our program. And I look at the coaches you're talking about. It's not just a winning team; it's a winning program, and there's a difference. Again, we've seen that you can spend a lot of money and get players that maybe that doesn't translate. It goes more than just, you need money, we know that, but there's a lot more to it than that. And I think older coaches, and again, certainly the guys that I know that you're referring to, those guys, I could almost tell you, you put them anywhere in the country at any school, if they get the right support, they would be winning, because they believe in what they're doing.
Okay, front row right.
Coach Chris Williams with Cyclone Fanatic. How would you describe this Iowa State defense to somebody who's never seen them before?
It's a tough one. All you got to do is look at the analytics and look at all that. Just so well coached, understand what they're trying to get done as a group. They really, great rotations, great use of hands, everything that you would want a defensive team to do, they show that. And so obviously ball security is so important against them, or they really make you pay with it. But they're not going to give you anything easy, not anything easy whatsoever.
Okay, third row left.
Eliab Brooks Rubin, WNER Sports. Coach, Joshua Jefferson, obviously such a great player. How does the game change with or without him on the floor, and how do you prepare with the uncertainty of not knowing whether he'll play?
Well, we certainly will always prepare for him, and he's a great basketball player. He can give it to you any way that he wants to do it. He is terrific, and he's got a demeanor about him. I don't know him, but I've watched him on tape. He's one of those guys I would say he has that it factor, and in every facet of the game and how he does things.
Okay, question back left.
Hey, Rick. Joe Rexrode from The Athletic. Following up on the question about some of the other coaches who have been around a while. Tom Izzo said today, asked about coming back, said he's coming back, quote, because I'm stubborn and dumb, but I'm not ready to give in to the system, even though I think the system is completely broken, end quote. Just wondering how you view this. Are you staying in this and despite what's going on, or do you feel like you are in good command of things and not having to fight that?
Well, I mean, he's right. I mean, we know it's broken. I mean, we know that, but we've always had to adjust and adapt. That I'll always kid around you. The NIL now it stands for now it's legal, but back in the day, when I first got into this, there was I think my first year there were no recruiting periods. You could, if you wanted to go out and recruit every day of the year, you could. You could call anybody. You could send them. You do whatever you wanted to do. Then they started putting in days where you had to, and then it made some people actually work. And then you go one phone, all the different phone things. I mean, just silly stuff. And the fact that I just know this, so many people that I was around saw this coming, but it never got fixed. And I remember Tony Bennett said one of the smartest things I've ever heard before he stepped out of this, when all this came about. Tony said, what we should do right now is give every player on the team $250,000. And you know what? They'd have been happy. But then nobody wanted to take the initiative to fix it. But I love coaching basketball. I think I'm so blessed to have the opportunity that God's given me at Tennessee. And I said it. I mean, I'm not saying it. I know I've got the best coaching situation in the country because of our administration. I've never seen a line like it. And without that, today, you have no chance. And what I mean by that, we have an unbelievable fan base, unbelievable. But our fan base, which I think is the best in the country, they have no idea what Danny White's up against every day, trying to do what he's got to do to get us done. And I know that he loves our fan base. I mean, no one's more game-oriented, game experienced than he and his staff. But if you don't have the administration, the athletic department lined up, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And I think in some of even the power leagues now, there's going to be a couple tier leagues. I mean, there's going to be some teams that are going to spend $5 million and other ones are going to spend whatever they have to spend. And where that goes, I don't know, other than what Tom said, it's broken. But I love coaching, and if I didn't have the leadership, I don't know. I'm sure Tom's happy with what he's got going there, because if you've got to fight the game plus administrations, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Okay, back row center.
Mark Giannotto, USA Today. What is, you mentioned you love coaching. You've obviously accomplished pretty much everything but getting to a Final Four at Tennessee. I'm curious what your driving force is at this point in your career when you've, done just about everything.
I was at Alabama for a year with Coach Sanderson. And our first game, I walked in, and he was literally lying on the sofa in his office, and he had his hands over like this. And I said, Coach, you okay? He said, this would be a great job if you never had to play games. And I love practice. I mean, I could practice 7 days a week, 4 hours a day. I love it. I just love watching guys get better, put it all together. And but I mean, I love it. I just like doing that. I kind of got turned.
Like what is getting through this weekend, for instance, is that a driving force?
Yeah. Look, we all start wanting to win a national championship. We know there's only one team standing. We know that on Monday night. But every one of us, first of all, we tell our guys from the beginning, our goal is to get to the tournament and be part of the teams that have a chance to win the tournament. But understand that starting game one, that is an NCAA tournament game, because if we don't take care of the games we're supposed to take care of, we won't get here, obviously, with the analytics today. So we start from day one talking about being in this tournament and hoping to have a chance to win the whole thing. But it all starts with your first game. So it's been a long grind, marathon for all of us. And that's why I hope they don't expand. I hope they don't ask the national championship team to have to win more than 6 games, because it's hard, it's difficult. But it's something you don't take for granted. You don't, ever take it for granted.
All right, we have time for one more question for Coach. Got a question here on the left, third row.
Eli Cronenberg, Medill News Service. Coach, you made one Sweet 16 in your first 7 years at Tennessee, now 4 straight. What do you think has changed in these last 4 years that's allowed you to take this program to the next level?
Well, I made a lot of mistakes, I can tell you that, back when I was younger. Just like, I think I've learned some of that, though. But I will say some of those teams that I had then, my first 2 years in the Big East, we were picked to finish last. We made it to the NCAA tournament, and that was our goal. But we were picked to finish last, and you get there and you're in those, 8, 9, those type games. They're hard games, obviously, but I will never take away from those teams because I know how hard they work to get here, and those teams taught me how valuable it is and how precious it is to be a part of this tournament. And even though maybe those teams didn't win, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I haven't learned through the years, because I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and certainly as a basketball coach. But we have, like all teams in this tournament, we have what we believe in, and we've stuck to it.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
He wanted to ask a question. Ask in the very back. What was
All
your
right, we got one more question, back left.
Appreciate it, Coach. Trey Wallace, Outkick. You did talk about, you just kind of briefly mentioned expansion. When you look at it and look towards the future, and you look at how many games the players are involved in right now, do you think, dragging this out a little bit longer, adding more teams to it, is going to be a problem solver at the end?
No, I don't think we can drag it out. I think we've got a 3-week window. I do think that you could do some more play-in games, things like that, but I don't think that again, I don't think you can ask the national champion to play more than 3 weeks, with what's at stake here and all that. And again, understand, I started my career at George Mason and got beaten in the championship game of the Colonial Tournament back then, and I would have loved it, but we knew that's what it was. And if they want to have more playing games, but I just think we have a 3-week window where we capture this country. I mean, this is the sport that captures it, and every state can be involved. But I just, even if you keep adding, there's always going to be a last 4 in, first 4 out, all that. But there's got to be a cutoff point somewhere.
All right, thank you, Coach. Appreciate it. We'll be joined shortly by Tennessee student athletes J.P. Estrella, Jacoby Gillespie, and Amari Evans. What's going on? You're leaving? Oh, okay, good to see you. Yeah. What's that? Ready, yep. All right, we're now joined by Tennessee student athletes J.P. Estrella, Jacoby Gillespie, and Amari Evans. Thanks for joining us, guys. Let's go ahead and take questions for the student athletes. Start here, third row left.
Gabriella Egozi, Medill News Service. Jacoby, how does it feel for you to be back here a year after competing in the Sweet 16? And does it feel any different for you compared to last year?
I mean, it feels good just to be playing with 16 teams left. We're one of those. So, yeah, I think we're blessed to be here. And, yeah, it feels a little different just because, I mean, it's a different team. And, yeah, it's Tennessee's home for me. So I feel like that's why it feels a little different.
All right, second row left.
Steve Lehman, News Channel 5 Nashville. Jacoby, along those lines, you were probably more recruited as a wide receiver than as a basketball player, So to just go through the journey from Belmont to Maryland last year to being back home at Tennessee and here. What did you learn at each of those stops to make you who you are, and what does it mean to be here?
I think at Belmont, I just learned how good basketball is at any level in D1 because, I played a lot of great teams when I was at Belmont. And in Maryland, I learned a lot just playing with a good group of guys. And then coming back here, I think I learned just how to run a team, being more of a point guard, and getting guys involved.
Okay, question for our left.
Paul Banks, the Sports Bank USA Today. Just for anyone who wants to take it, so much has been made about Nate and his just raw skill set and raw talent and ability. So when you guys are just, working out with him, practicing with him every day, like what kind of jumps out right away?
Start with JP.
He's gifted in so many different ways. He's just a tall kid that, just gets buckets. He does a little bit of everything. Defensively, he's gotten really good since being here. I feel like he's got an unguardable jump shot in that little mid-range. So he just does a little bit of everything for us, and it benefits us as a team so much.
And then Amari?
I feel like Nate, he's a hard worker. It ain't just raw talent. He's putting in the work to get to where he's at, to put up the buckets he's putting up every day. And I feel like he's a great player to compete against every day in practice.
All right. Another question here, second row left.
Just what's the challenge of this Iowa State team in trying to slow down kind of the depth pieces they have scoring offensively, and how does it challenge your defense?
Jacoby, if you want to start.
I think defensively they're really good. They cause a lot of turnovers, and they get out in transition, and I feel like that's when they're at their best. So really just taking good shots and taking care of the ball is what we're planning to do tomorrow.
JP?
Yeah, kind of like to piggyback off what Kobe said. Yeah, defensively, they're really good. They force a ton of turnovers, so we got to make sure that we do a good job of when they do try to trap our guards, that we got to make sure we do a good job of finding those open spaces and trying to just pick out little spots that we know that we can find in their defense to get open shots.
And Amari?
Honestly, they're amazing on defense, probably a top 10 defense in the nation. So, we just got to take care of the ball and do what we do regardless of who we're playing.
All right, question third row left.
Jacoby, what's the biggest way you feel like you've grown as a player since last year's tournament and in a new system this year?
Like I said earlier, just learning to be more of a point guard, finding guys, talking more, just doing everything a point guard would do because that's what Barnes has really helped me with this year. So, yeah, just trying my best to get better at that every day.
All right, question second row left.
You guys pride yourself so much on toughness. How much is toughness going to be a factor tomorrow night against another team that prides themselves in that area?
Amari, if you can start.
We pride ourselves in it. That's what we do every day. So I feel like that's a habit we have. So, it's going to be huge because they're tough, we're tough, and may the best man win.
All right, JP?
Yeah, toughness is something that we bring into every single game that we play. And I feel like we got to bring it every single night because if we don't play with toughness, there's no chance that we can win a game, especially this late in the year.
All right, any additional questions for the student athletes? All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
As a reminder, Hammond Communications will post a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media